And welcome back to another video here from the Off-Grid Garage. Sunny, hot Australia, some clouds today, only 5 amp in the battery at the moment. This is like the weather forecast just for batteries, right? Okay, in today's video I want to take another look at the QUCC BMS. Well, after my controversial video, the last video, if you haven't seen it, it's linked up here. I got about 300 comments under this video, and a lot of people were speculating what this is all caused by and why the BMS didn't turn off when one of the cells went into overvoltage. And because this is a BMS with a relay, a lot of people have assumed that it could be that the contacts of the relay were melted together due to a high current or a high surge or something, you know. And so they are permanently connected, and that's why the BMS, that's why the relay did not turn off when one of the cells hit 3.65 volts. Yeah, well, I know what you mean about this, but the relay would make a different sound when this actually happens, because the whole mechanic is not working correctly inside the relay anymore. I've seen this before with smaller relays, and you could only hear the attempt for the relay to actually close or open the contacts, but because they are melted together, it doesn't actually do it, and there's no mechanical move inside the relay anymore, and the sound is quite different. But this one here, you can really hear the clonk when it falls off and the click when it kicks in again. So there are two different sounds, and you can really hear the mechanic is still working fine inside. Well, which doesn't mean the contacts may not be welded together inside. I don't know. So today I want to do another test, and I think I found out why the BMS is not working. And this is thanks to one of you guys, at least one of you guys. I couldn't even read all the 300 comments yet, so... Well, but before, let me show you what's going on here. Okay, so I reactivated my old Nexus 4 phone as well and put the Victron app on here, so we can have a look at the solar charge controller, which is on this side. We've got the Smart Shunt, Victron Smart Shunt here, and we've got the BMS here on my other mobile phone. Today I want to make a test with the BMS and see if it actually turns off. One of you guys may have found the solution for it. I'll show you quickly the comment here. And the user NYX said, try to set hardware overvoltage protection below 3.65. In your video it is on 3.9. And he is totally right. I have totally missed this parameter in, well, these 52 parameters you can change. For some reason, I did not look at the hardware. I showed you the hardware parameters, but I did not see the hardware overvoltage protection, which was set on 3.9 volts. Also, the hardware undervoltage protection was on 2 volts only. And I think he is totally right. This could be the trigger. This could be the trigger for our relay to turn off if you have a high voltage, or to turn off if you have a low voltage. So I have set this now to 3.65, but I will actually put this on 3.4 only, because... Okay, let's save this quickly here back to the BMS. I don't know if I have to change anything else. See, I've got the overvoltage protection parameter on 3.6 here still. We leave this one at 3.6 and have only the hardware overcurrent and short parameters sit on 3.4 and see if this makes a difference. There's a delay of 1 second for it, which is fine. And we just go back. So if we get one cell now over 3.4 volt, we will see if the BMS actually turns off, and the Smart Shunt should show 0 amps going into the battery then. Because the charge controller still delivers 4.6, but it also supplies our inverter and other loads, and only a portion of that goes actually into the battery. Okay, so let's set the absorption a little bit higher, so it charges the battery a little bit higher, so we get one cell over 3.4 volts. What an interesting test. Okay, set this one to 50 not 5,500, 55. Oh, by the way, 5,500. Thank you so much for reaching 5,500 subscribers. The Off-Grid Garage YouTube channel is now bigger than the Unplugged EV YouTube channel. It is insane. Thank you so much, guys. All right, so we have done that. I should have set the float voltage higher as well. Okay, let's go quickly in there. 55, setting both to 55. And going back in the settings. And this should go back into bulk. Oh, maybe it's just floating, but the current goes up. Voltage is rising. Charging current goes up into the battery. Maybe it stays on float. Doesn't go back to bulk. So 55 is our target. See, this one starts balancing now, 3.38, which we disregard at the moment. We just want to have one cell hitting 3.8 volt, 3.4 volts. Well, as always, I am bad prepared. I had only 13% left in the camera, so I need to switch cameras. Doesn't matter. So we are at 3.394 cell number 1. And we've got 10 millivolt deviation across all the cells, so very well balanced. I will make another video here about the cell balancing after this video here, and you will see how good this all works together. Well, that's what I thought, at least. Which is the highest? Which is the highest? I think it's number 1. Still charging with 8 amps. The charge controller has switched to bulk now. Okay, we are close. Let's see if we can hear a click. 3.4. Does it need to be over 3.4? There's nothing happening. Still charging. Still charging. Maybe I need to set the other parameters accordingly, I don't know. Because there's an over voltage here of 3.6. And maybe if it doesn't reach the 3.6, it says, well, I don't care. Because it's not over voltage. Okay, let's set this one here to 3.39. Yep, that's fine. Okay, save. Okay, this should make the BMS beep. It does. Yeah, beeps. Come on, save! Hurry up! I could hear a click. I could hear a click. But still 8.5 into the battery. But charging is off. It says charging is off. See this switch there? It has turned off. We've got multiple cells now over 3.4 and the BMS is beeping like hell, but it's still charging. Okay, so this is still not working. It's still charging with 9 amps here into the battery. Even the function says charging is off now, but discharge is still on. But I don't know, the BMS is beeping, but it doesn't, and I could hear the click, but it's still letting current going into the battery. So something is definitely not right. Okay, the other, geez, that's annoying. The other suggestion was to take the BMS actually apart and measure directly at the relay if there is power for the coil of the relay or not. So I will probably do that right now and take the BMS apart, reconnect everything, and then we measure again and see what the relay actually says. Okay, so this is the BMS without case, without enclosure, but reconnected to our negative battery negative terminal. All the balance leads are connected back, and we also have the output back to the smart shunt here. Alright, so you've seen this before, how it looks like inside. We've got the 10 watt 10 ohm resistor here, which I don't think is for balancing, because it would be able to balance only 1 cell at a time, but it balances like 8 cells at a time. what else do we have? The relay. There's the relay, and this is the actual cable to the relay for the coil. This is only a 2-wire cable. So I don't think this is a latching relay as some people suggested. I think this is only an on and off relay, and it doesn't stay in one state and then waits for another pulse or something to go to the other state. I have put some sticky tape on the beeper. Okay, we've got the Bluetooth module here, and the only thing I can see is this wire here, which goes from the main board to the negative output, which goes to our smart shunt. I thought this is like a voltage sense or something it has here, but I'm not sure. And I've also seen, if I can turn this around safely here without making a big short. Yep, there you can see. I thought these are MOSFET transistors. Yeah, these square guys there. I think they are only voltage regulators. And there's no MOSFET or something underneath here, nothing. Nothing which could actually transfer power, right? I just need to turn on the charger again. So, again, the parameters, what we have set is... Okay, here now we have the over voltage at 3.38. And if we go further down, we've got the balance, where not important this time, and the hardware over voltage protection at 3.4. So 3.4 should make the relay turn off, right? And 3.38 is just the alarm. Well, one viewer has suggested, well, why don't you click on these little question marks at the end of each line? It gives you an explanation what's going on. So if you do that, you get that, an empty white box. How good is that, huh? It would be nice to have a little text in there, like an explanation what this parameter is for. Hey guys, I just realized if you do that, you just have to wait a couple of seconds and it brings up the explanation in Chinese and English. I don't know if it needs to download this from somewhere. Okay, we've got far more interesting stuff now to explore here with this BMS. Well, I got a bit too excited. I cannot really read and understand what this all means here. You can press the pause button on the video here and read through the text and see if this makes sense to you. Well, it says here over voltage 3.38 volt. It says after the single cell battery voltage reaches the set protection voltage, the BMS automatically turns off the charging switch to prevent the battery from overcharging. That's exactly what we said in the last video, right? That's exactly what should happen, but it doesn't. So if we reach 3.38 volt, it should turn off charging, but it doesn't. Okay, so let's try this again. 3.38 is our alarm over voltage protection, right? Okay, let's turn on the charger again. So this will take a moment to find the maximum power point, and then we will have charge again. You can see at the moment when I turn off the charger and there's no power coming in, it turns off the discharge switch, and the relay is off as well. If the relay is on, there's a blue LED, a bright, there it comes. You could just hear the click and the blue LED comes on, so the relay is on. It has detected now incoming current and it turns on the relay. Yeah. So what I can do is I can press the charging button here and this will turn off the relay. Look at this. There. Back on. Off. It's on. But the actual incoming current doesn't change. If I turn this one off, you can hear the relay clicking. But there's still current going in. Okay, let's wait until one battery cell reaches 3.38. That shouldn't take long. Well, interestingly, the irrigation pump just kicked in and the relay turned off. And we are now pulling 7 amps from the battery through the BMS. And now the relay turns back on when the pump turns off. What? Where does this 7.7 amps go through when the relay is off? There's no MOSFET, nothing. And this one is cold. There's nothing going through here. Okay, so we are now getting close with cell number 8, 3.376. And what I don't understand is if the relay is off, this is the only connection to the outside world where actually power can come in. So if this one is turned off and these 2 pins are interrupted, how is there power coming in? This does not make sense at all, unless it's going through this wire here. But 7 amps, this is just a thin wire. This should get warm, you know. There we go, 3.38. The relay has turned off. You can see the charging switch actually turns off as well, but we are still having charging current coming in. So obviously something is not right with the relay. The electronics seems to work, the app seems to work, but the relay itself, maybe the contacts have just melted together or something, as you have assumed or something, I don't know. So I let this run for a while and you can see all the battery cells are over 3.38 volt now. Their balancing has kicked in. Well, this one not, number 2 not. They are close to 3.4 now. There we go. Okay, I'll turn off charging here on the charge controller. Enable charging, yep. Okay, turn off the charger. And you can see now charging and discharging has disabled here as the switch. And I cannot turn them on anymore either. See, they won't stick. They come in for a moment and then they turn off again. So all the cells are now balancing, right? So we should see a little bit of temperature in here. These are the balancing. This is the balance resistor. But there's not. It's cold. But I can feel, oh yeah, heat here. Yeah, this resistor is 31. And if we measure here, we get 40, 43, yeah, all across the bank here. This is about 40, 42 degrees. 110. So definitely balancing happens here on these SMD resistors. And this is like a bypass resistor. If the relay is off, some current sense or whatever, how this works, goes through here. So I'm not really sure. Alright, so battery's voltage is going down. Okay, just put some load on the inverter to discharge the batteries quicker. But you can see the relay is still off. And we are discharging with 3.5 amps. So how is the amp going from here to here, or the other way around, doesn't matter, if the relay is off? That is not right. Guys, I'm that close to open up this relay and see if the contacts are actually melted together. So we've got only 2 cells above 3.38. And now the beeping stops, thankfully. The charging switch has turned on again, but not the discharge switch. And I'm not able to turn on the discharge switch unless there's power coming in from the solar charge controller. And I don't understand this function. How can you actually control charging and discharging if you have only one relay? This does not make sense at all. I can understand if you have MOSFET transistors in here, you control what's going in and what's going out. But with one relay only, it's on-off in both directions. Alright, so we are now under 3.38, alarm has stopped, relay is still off. And let's just trigger the irrigation pump for a moment. So if I turn on the irrigation pump now, we should see a relay coming on. No, we don't. How is this working? How can we pull 15 amps without relay and no MOSFET? This is not possible. This is not possible. Okay, so watch this. I enable the charger again. And now it takes just a moment for the MPPT to find the power point. And once the BMS detects there's power coming in, it turns on the relay again. And the switch actually shows us it's closed. Watch that. There. I spent now hours and hours trying to understand how this BMS works and what the functions mean and how this all works together, and to set it up correctly so it actually does what it's supposed to do. But as you have seen, I've got one last test actually what we can do with the voltmeter at the moment, because there's not too much charge current coming in. So it's on at the moment, and I'm measuring the voltage across the terminals of the relay, and we've got 0 volts. You can hear the relay clicking on and off, and we still got 0 volts. So this can only mean that the contacts inside are melted together, or the relay is not working for any other reason there. This is the only explanation. So the current still goes through the relay. If it's closed or not, it doesn't matter. So something has happened to the relay. What a shit show. Alright, so since last night I'm texting with QUCC in China. So we are sending text messages back and forward. I explained them the circumstances, I explained what I've tested, I explained everything happened in my video. I didn't send them the link actually. So, and they said, okay, let us ask the engineers in the morning what they did. And, well, they got back to me this morning and said they're really sorry, but they will send out a new BMS. And the engineer thinks the BMS or the relay is not working correctly anymore. So, obviously, you were right, and there's something wrong with the relay. It's not working correctly, it's not working at all. We don't know. Over voltage. At least it's beeping. Yeah, 3.38. Cool. At least this is working. So electronic and everything works fine. Relay function works fine, but the relay itself, not so much. So I texted him back this morning and said, well, if you don't mind, they offered me this new BMS with the open relay on the back, you know. So it looks very similar to what we have here. Just without case, right? And I said, well, if you don't mind, can I get a refund, please? I don't really like this BMS and it doesn't seem to work. And I don't like this open design without the case. And they got back to me and said, oh, we are sorry, this transaction has been done for a while and the financial blah blah whatever has closed and we cannot refund you. So I don't know, they are going to send out a new BMS now. This is probably why they have discontinued this one here, because there was a problem with the relay, maybe. I don't know. But, well, I think the BYD, they are pretty reliable and good hardware, actually. So, I'm not sure. So, I'll try to keep pushing for a refund. It's $144. But if everything goes to shit, I'll take the other BMS, put the other BMS in. They shouldn't take long to replace actually, because all the balance leads, this is all the same still. It's just no case around it, basically. So anyway, yeah, I'll try for a refund, but I think they will just send out a new one, which they are probably entitled to. I mean, they're trying to help, and they're saying, well, it's a faulty device, we sent you a new one for no money. What can you do, you know, that's the service you get. Potentially up to them if they agree for a refund or a new hardware. So yeah, that's where we are. Well, I don't bother putting this one back into the enclosure because I've got the lid here on the battery anyway all the time usually. So if you want me to do some more testing on this one here, let me know. As long as it is open, as long as the other one hasn't arrived yet, I'm happy to do any kind of exploration and testing and challenges here with the BMS. Nothing crazy, of course, but so far from what I can see, it doesn't make a difference if the relay is on or not. And I haven't seen any screws here or something. I think this is just glued together somewhere, so once we open this one up, it's destroyed. But I probably, yeah, I'm very keen to take the little hacksaw here and cut this open so we can look inside, get the enclosure off, and can actually see the contacts inside if they are melted together. Maybe that's all it needs. Maybe that's all. Because right at the beginning, when I put the battery together, I must admit, I had the situation when I connected the inverter the first time, you know, the spark. Not the one I filmed, there was another one before that which I didn't film. I talked about this in another video before, so there was another spark, a big one. And maybe this has melted together these two contacts, but it's a 300 amp relay and it should withstand such a high current peak, you know. It's only for a split second until the capacitors are charged, and then the current goes down. But still a lot of current flowing. So I'm not sure if this has caused any damage or something. I probably leave everything as it is, as I said, and if I get the shits tonight, I just take everything apart and get the hacksaw and get through the plastic, have a look inside. Maybe I can unweld the contacts again and everything is fine afterwards, you know? Alright guys, so far this update, it was a good suggestion from NYX or something to have a look at these parameters. Well, as we can see, the parameters seem to work fine, but the hardware, the relay, the mechanic obviously is not so much. So thank you again for all your suggestions and all your comments under my last video about the BMS, and probably keep them going, because yeah, as long as it is open, I'm happy to do more testing, to move more measurement and everything. And well, stay charged, stay safe, and I'll catch you in the next one, I would say. Thanks again, see you then, bye bye. What a beautiful device.